We will start.
What did you see of his return and his kind of determination to get back in the fight? And Coach Combs talked about how he would show up, just go through the middle.
Right from the jump, we were able to get him in with a great surgeon, and the recovery was excellent. And then I thought our people here, Mick Marotti and Larry Johnson, our training staff, did a great job getting him able to play in a game without a ton of contact leading up to the game. So, and ultimately, it's a great job by Haskell, getting his body and mind ready to play well without getting a lot of those reps. So it was a team effort, but at the end of the day, you got to give Haskell the majority of the credit.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go next to Austin.
Film, what did you make of those freshmen?
Oh, I thought they competed. They did what typically they do in practice. I think the big thing for all of them is just the toughness and the physicality of playing in a Big Ten football game, and protecting and blocking and those type of things. And I thought they ran good, some decent routes, and for the most time caught the ball well. So it was good to start off of in terms of starting point, but we've still got a lot of work to do.
Thanks.
All righty, we'll go next to Dave Biddle from 247 Sports. Dave.
Hi, Ryan. After reviewing the film, how do you feel like your running backs played?
I thought they were solid. I thought as the game went on, they played better. Same thing just with the run game in general. I think early on, it was just okay. It's kind of what happened the first game. So, we're really looking hard to take the next step in game 2. And one of the things you just don't get used to is going against those different fronts. And, in terms of a scout team, the look just isn't the same. So, but as the game went on, I thought it got better. And the more, we go against, different looks, I think the more comfortable we'll get. And then, the running backs got to continue to get tackled and get a feel for what that's like, keep their pads down, and see the different, cuts that are there. So I don't think it was, great early on, but I think as it went on, it got better.
In 2017, you were here. You were in Happy Valley for the whiteout as Ohio State's offensive coordinator, led the big comeback. Urban said it's like a 10-point difference having no whiteout. You think that's hyperbole from Urban, or do you concur with that?
Well, I think that's a really great environment. It's loud. It's hard to communicate. So it'll be different. It was different here last week, and so yeah, that part is strange, but it's the same for each team week in and week out. We're all dealing with the same set of rules. So it's just how do we handle it better than our opponent? That's just kind of the focus, but it certainly will be different.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go next to Brendan Gullick from Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. Brendan.
Hey, Coach, I want to follow up on the running backs question, specifically on Steel Chambers. Can you tell us what most impressed you about the way that he played in his couple of carries?
Yeah, I thought he ran hard. I thought he saw the one on third down that opened up. I thought the line did a great job there, and he finished his run hard. And I thought he ran with good pad level. Didn't have as many carries, but when he was out there, I thought he flashed a little bit.
How about the fact that you're preparing to play your first road game here now? Can you tell us about your comfort level with all the logistics and all the things that are going to go into playing on the road here?
Yeah, it's very, very different in a lot of areas. Just going to the hotel and we have to have protocol in place for how do we handle the food? Where do we come together when we eat? All those things, the plane rides, the bus rides, how do we space that out? So it's a lot of stuff. And, Brian Voltolini, Quinn Temple, and so many people here are working hard to make sure those logistics are good. But, it's our job to make sure we cover all that stuff so the players don't have to worry about it. So there's as few distractions as possible because, like you said, we got to go get our first road win. And it's hard. No matter what happens, it's hard to win in Happy Valley. So we've learned that before. So we'll work hard to make sure that plan is organized, it runs smoothly, and then the players are able to focus on the game.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we'll go next to Stephen Means from Cleveland.com. Stephen.
Justin ran it 15 times on Saturday. Were you comfortable with that amount, and just how much he got kind of banged up, including the sacks that he took?
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. Most of those runs were scrambles, and that's about what we do in terms of, in the run game, he'll pull it some, and but a lot of the running was passes, and I thought he extended some plays really, really well, and that's part of his game. There's going to be sacks, but there's also extended plays for huge plays, and that's the game for Justin. That was different for Dwayne. It was different for other quarterbacks, but for him, for every sack, you're going to get 2 or 3 extended plays. There's like 3 in particular. One was a touchdown run. If you tell him just to throw it away there, he doesn't scramble for a touchdown. So there's a give and take, and I think as the year progressed last year and even in this year, he's doing a good job of it, taking care of the football, making the decision at the right time. And I think there are times maybe he can keep his eyes downfield a little longer, but overall, I thought it was a really good game for him.
Were you happy with the way the line pass protected?
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job. Yeah, I think some of the routes we had were long developing. The pass to a Garrett Wilson, I thought the protection was excellent. I thought the running backs did a good job in protection. So yeah, overall, I thought it was really good. There's certainly things to clean up and areas we can improve on, but if we can just keep building from there, we'll be in a good place.
Okay, we'll go next to Tony Gurdaman from Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Ryan, we got to see one spring practice, and in that practice, Jackson Smith and Jigbo is making all kinds of plays. And I know you've seen plenty more than that. But what was your thought, I guess, after watching film of his catch, a touchdown?
Not like that, but we see that very often in practice. Just amazing catches. We kind of have some acrobats out there, and so yeah, when you practice that way, it shows up in the games. And so very happy to see him get his first touchdown. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, and along those lines, what's it like for a head coach when you see when that true freshman makes their first big play in Ohio Stadium or in any game?
Well, it's exciting, especially when you go through the recruiting process and you spend so much time with he and his family and communication and talking to him about the possibilities of what could happen, playing in the horseshoe, playing in big games, playing in conference plays. And then all of a sudden you see something like that in his first game. It was pretty neat.
Thanks.
We'll go next to Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill.
Ryan, how much do you think rhythm matters for a running back, and how difficult might it be to get some of that when you're trying to work in 2 guys the way you guys were on Saturday?
No, I see a lot of people do it. We've done it here before. I don't think that really comes into play. I think sometimes you can get a feel for how the game's going, and then you can wear people down, and if you can sustain a drive longer, then that's an advantage. But I think keeping them fresh is really, really good. And I think it has more to do with just, recognizing and seeing, what they're doing on defense and seeing the holes, keeping your pads down. And then once we get you to the second level, it's your job to make that safety miss. When the offensive line gets you to the second level or even the third level, that's when you got to go. And it doesn't matter whether you've had, 1 carry or 50. You got to do your job at that point. So, as long as those guys are getting, multiple carries in the game, multiple carries every other drive, I think they feel the flow of the game very, very easily.
And on the other side of the ball, how did you feel about the way you guys defended the quarterback run, especially now coming into this week where, Sean Clifford's a pretty mobile guy and they do that package with the backup QB too? Yeah, I thought it was solid overall. There was one or two where they scored it out on the long run by Adrian. The defensive tackle just didn't run the stunt the right way. If he goes left instead of right, the play's kind of dead. But that's what team defense is. And those are the things I'm talking about, whether it's in pass protection, whether it's in the run game, whether it's, a stunt here or there. All it takes is one play against a team like Penn State, and you lose the game. So we got to clean all those things up this week. And that's where I think the difference of the consequence of practice and the consequence of a game have to be felt. And overall, I thought the guys did understand that, embrace it. But we got a lot of things on film to show. All it takes is one guy on one play in all 3 phases, and we can lose the game. So, to answer your question on the quarterback run, I think it was good, but we're going to get a lot more this week.
Okay, we'll go next to Rob Aller from the Columbus Dispatch. Rob.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, there's a big difference between a program getting to the top and staying on top, and I know you haven't done this a long time, but What are you seeing as the challenge of staying up there? What are the things you have to do with it day to day?
Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to recruit. You got to recruit every day. You got to recruit at a high level. If you don't do that, then that's the first way to get your program going sideways. So it's something that we have to do every single day. And then, the second thing is everybody's swinging for you. Everybody's you're going to get their best shot week in and week out. And this being a strange year and not having a bye week, and we're going to have to bring it every single week. And so you just can't have a bad day. And then the other part is the expectations. Sometimes they're just ridiculous. Sometimes we win 52-17, and some guys are walking around the locker room like, man, what happened? Like 52-17. I mean, it's a pretty good day, boys. And I think just that part is probably the biggest challenge. But those are all good problems to have, and I think we're in a good place. We just got to go get this one. This win right here will go a long way for us. And so it's all hands on deck. It's a very, very well coached team. They play well in all three phases. And so, we got our hands full this week. So we gotta make sure that we're on top of our game, having a great week of practice.
With the virus, can you calculate? I assume that you can see and feel that you're a little bit behind, as everyone is. Are you 2 weeks behind? I mean, what's your feel estimate as to really when you'll be kind of up to snuff, running where you want to be?
Yeah, I think we probably have another week to figure that out. I think we learned some about ourselves in the first game, but we're at least a couple weeks behind for sure. And I think, that's where good teams really improve a lot from week 1 to week 2. And so if we can accelerate this thing this week and have a great week of practice and fix some of the things that we need to get fixed, that'll be important in terms of the catch up.
All right, we'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Ryan, you named Chris Booker as your special teams player of the week this week. Just wondering what he's done as a walk-on to kind of put himself in that position.
What a tremendous story. I mean, between that and the Haskell story this week, Chris Booker's a guy who wasn't playing football, and Tim Hinton, met with him. He was on campus, and he was enrolled in school at Ohio State, and 2 years or a year and a half later, he's special teams player of the week, in a conference win against Nebraska. Just an unbelievable story. What he's done in the weight room with Mick, what Brian Hartline's done in terms of turning the receiver, and then his work on special teams with Matt Barnes. I can't say enough. You talk about a big heart. He wasn't playing football. I asked him in a team meeting, how many stars were you? He said 0. I wasn't recruited by anybody. And it just goes to show you when somebody wants something enough and they have a big enough heart, anything's possible. And what an inspirational story. And that was really, really cool to see.
There's been a few guys that have come from the club football program to playing on the varsity team at Ohio State. How do you think that helps to kind of have, another football team on campus?
Well, I mean, this is, very, very unique. And our walk-on program right now and some of our walk-ons are tremendous. When you think of some of the guys that are contributing right now, there's a lot of walk-ons. Mitch Rossi, Kate Kaczerski, Xavier Johnson, Zaid Hamden, Sam Wiglis, Schmeezing. There's a long list of guys who are walk-ons that are really, they're contributing. And that really helps a program, especially in a year like this. And I think we're going to see a lot more of those guys get time as this season goes on.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Yes, Ryan. Were you surprised that Haskell could make that kind of an impact when he has been so limited? And what does he bring to that defense? How important is he given the depth issues you have at that position?
I'm not surprised because I know what Haskell's capable of, but I am really impressed with the way he played. And again, you got to give a lot of credit to everybody involved to get him ready to play at that level after such a traumatic event. So while I wasn't surprised in his ability on the field, it was pretty impressive to see that quick turnaround. And if he can continue that, he can have a major impact on our defense in a position that we all had our eyes on going into this first game, and that was big.
And you touched on this with Rob's question earlier. it's a kind of a cliche in football to say that you improved the most from week 1 to week 2. Given the crazy offseason that you had, how important is it to really make a big jump this week, especially when you're playing a team that's going to be hungry after what happened to them last week?
Yeah, I mean, they're always going to be hungry when they play us, but certainly, when you lose a game like that, everything's really, everyone just gets a little bit more hungry. And like you said, we got to do a great job this week. And the issues are there, and we got to get them addressed. And that's coaching. Got to get them addressed. Got to get them fixed. And again, the goal is to win the game. It can't be anything else. Like I told the guys, the last few years here, it's taken to the last play of the game to go win, and that's got to be the expectation. And one thing we got to do a better job taking care of the football. When you look at the last couple of years, we had too many turnovers, too many fumbles, and we got to do a good job of that this year. Something that is going to be hammered, really from Sunday night all the way until we kick the ball off. So anyway, big game. We'll see, but this is a big week of practice for everybody.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay, we'll go next to Doug Lemarese from Cleveland.com. Doug.
Hey, Ryan. Garrett playing in the slot in week 1. It seemed like you used him. You moved him around, used him in different ways. I know he was outside on his deep touchdown. I think the 4th down play, you had him lined up right next to Ruckert in the slot. Seems like you put the defense a little bit of peril there. Can you just talk about utilizing a guy like that, his skills, and deploying him in different ways, and the way you guys can put pressure on a defense with Garrett from that spot?
Yeah, I think the first thing is having more than one weapon really helps. When you're game planning. But Garrett really does have a lot of versatility into his game. He can play outside. He can play inside. He can play big. He can play in the quick inside. He's got great timing down the field. So he's got quite a skill set. So yeah, we're going to try to find ways to put him in the most advantageous situation. But it's not just him either. We have whether it's Chris or Jameson or Jackson or our tight ends with Ruckert and Luke, and there's just a lot of weapons there. And so we got to try to figure out the best way to utilize the personnel that makes the most sense, and that's what coaching is. So, but yeah, he was off to a good start. Now he's just got to continue to keep growing and get stronger as the season goes on.
And just when you're at a place like Ohio State, you're going to have great offensive skill players every year. But as you're game planning, can you just describe the thought process of this is what we want to do schematically versus these are our particular guys. This is our particular personnel and their skills, and how can we best utilize that constant balance of scheme versus accentuating players?
Yeah, I think it's the way you described it. It's first off what makes the most sense schematically, and then how do you put the players in position to utilize their skills best. That's kind of how we do it. Not the other way around. You have to figure out what you think is the best way to attack somebody, and then plug the guys in that are gonna show their strengths, and that's how we do it.
And I'm sorry to follow up, just last thing. The thing you mentioned about the balance of big plays versus sacks with Justin, and that maybe you have to live with the sack because you get 3 big plays out of it. I remember last year early on with him, you said one of his best plays in a game was throwing the ball away. And that's when he was a young quarterback. What's that evolution been like for you of okay, maybe we got to let this guy try to hold on to the ball because we're going to get something good out of it?
I think if you're 2nd and 18, not good. I mean, that's a mistake. I think if it's 2nd and 11 and he just got caught, not bad. We can live with that, because for every one of those, we're going to be 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 3 because he's going to scramble for 7 yards. That's all that hidden yardage that I don't think anybody realizes, And so, there's times where, if he gets flushed and he's 8 yards behind the line, he's got no right taking a sack at that point. I think that's the give and take and figuring out that part of it, because once you get into, 2nd and 18, there's no good plays there. So that's all part of it. And when you find yourself in those situations where you're going to take a big, loss, that's when you got to ditch it. So that's the idea.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll go next to Kyle Rowland from the Toledo Blade. Kyle.
Hey, Ryan. Road teams across college football this year have won at a pretty high rate. Without fans at Big Ten games, do you think home field advantage will be largely neutralized?
I don't know. I can tell you it was different for us. I share the story about Seven Banks, picking the ball up and scoring. The place would have been going absolutely wild, especially during that stretch. We kind of had some momentum going there. You didn't feel it. It was just like another day of practice. So it's different. And I don't know, maybe if it's the momentum swings, whatever it is, it's different. But it's different for both teams, and we just got to deal with it.
The crowd and atmosphere is like the obvious huge difficulty on the road. What are the other elements that make road games difficult for teams?
How are they different? You don't stay at home. Once you get done, you take a plane ride, you're traveling, you're sleeping in a bed that you're not used to. You're a little bit out of your routine that way. But the positive is, you're kind of away from, although we're isolated right now anyways, but usually, you kind of get away from everybody. You just kind of get on the bus and you get on the plane and you're just with the team. So sometimes that's good. There's a little bit less distractions that way than when you're home. But it's just dealing with that. And then, after the game, you got to fly and you got to get back, you get late at night. But other than that, I mean, it's something you get used to, especially, for the older guys who have been through a lot of games on the road before.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, next up is Jared Smalley. Jared.
Hi, Ryan. As you saw Saturday, Penn State lost a game that statistically they should have won, and maybe won fairly comfortably. Did they look like the team that you kind of envisioned them being?
I think they look excellent on all three phases. I think they look well coached. I think they have good talent, and this is gonna be a tough game. A very unique game, like you said. The score doesn't really tell the tale. And watching the film, they have good players in all three phases, and they're well coached. So this is going to be a difficult game, and a lot of respect for James and his coaching staff over the years. And you got to earn wins against these guys. So it's going to be one of those games where we got to start from the beginning, take care of the football, play really strong, get the game into the fourth quarter, and win it in the fourth quarter.
And two places in particular where they had a transition at a position. Defensive end with Parsons not there, and then Journey Brown, the running back, not being available for them. Any sort of view on how those positions they fared and maybe the depth that they had there to move forward?
Well, those are two very, very good players, and very unfortunate that America and the Big Ten aren't able to see those guys play. Hate to see that. That's not good for our conference. And anytime you have good players like that, certainly it's felt. But it's like anything else. You just gotta rally and move on, which they are doing, and they have really good players. They've recruited well, so there's other guys that are playing, but certainly you don't easily replace good players like that.
Yeah, we'll go next to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com. Nathan.
Hey, Ryan, I asked this obviously in light of what's going on at Wisconsin this week, though I assume you probably thought of it earlier, but was there any adjustment made to the way that your quarterback room specifically congregates or associates in terms of trying to mitigate any contact tracing problems if something does come up? Or do you kind of have to just trust the testing and go forward with operations as usual?
We break it up. When they're in the quarterback meeting room with Corey, they obviously are all masked up and distance, and they do a great job of that. But I'll grab Justin and kind of take him on my own sometimes, just to for a lot of reasons. But that's one of them, to kind of keep him away from some of the other guys. But what a tricky situation. It's just it's a very, very contagious virus, and I feel for all these teams that are going through this, and that's where just keep talking to our guys about it. You just cannot take a deep breath, because once it gets one guy, there's a lot of people at risk, and it's not easy, but that's something we try to do.
And specifically for your defense, matching up against Pat Freiermuth, just what problems does he cause, maybe especially for a linebacker group that's still maybe kind of getting its feet under it as it shifts positions?
Excellent player. Mismatch and really can be a mismatch in both areas, the run game and pass game. Very competitive, good ball skills, and so he can be a mismatch for sure.
Alrighty, next up is Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch. Joey.
Ryan, a little bit of a question about recruiting our high school players, but there have been some guys who have opted out of their senior seasons across the country. They're just for COVID reasons, or they're not having a fall season of some kind. obviously different positions probably need the development in different ways, but for a quarterback, what's the importance of having like a senior season or something like that for their getting a couple games under their development? Because I can't imagine they can go off and train in the same way.
No, that's the thing that is so difficult about football. You can't really practice football other than play it. You can't go, like in basketball, you can go shoot hoops or drills or, work kind of one-on-ones or play a pickup game. Baseball, you can go and, take batting practice. I mean, just about every sport. But football is different, certainly for a quarterback. You just don't get, you can say 7-on-7. 7-on-7 is unrealistic. I think 7-on-7 sometimes hurts quarterbacks because they're just not used to playing in the pocket. They start throwing balls that are unrealistic. So playing the game is the number one thing. When you look at the success of the guys who play in the NFL, a lot of them have a lot of game experience under their belt coming out of college and high school playing in the NFL. It's just the truth. And a lot of that is because you can't replace experience. So yeah, the more of those guys can play, the better off in terms of their development.
Do you all worry about their development sometimes?
Do I worry about whose development?
Just in general, like if you're losing a season like this or you're having like a season of 4 games, like what's the tangible impact of that down the line?
Sure, it could. They're going to be a little bit behind. So, you take that into consideration. But, again, it's the same for everybody. You got to, for these recruits, it's not their fault. So, I mean, they'll get developed. But yeah, I mean, obviously they would all want to play, I would assume, as long as it's safe.
All right, you got time for a couple more, and we'll start with Tim May from Lettermen Row. Tim.
Hey, Coach Day, appreciate it. 3 quickies. Number one, your backup quarterback situation, is it going to be fluid all year? Is Jack the backup as we speak right now? Just what can you enlighten us on there?
Yeah, it's an ongoing deal. And at some point, if one of them jump in front of the other, then we'll go from there. But as of right now, like I said, there's just lack of reps, like we just talked about. So they're still battling, still learning, they're still trying to figure it out. They're getting better. They're showing some flashes here and there, but we'll just keep that going and kind of take it week to week.
Is your question mark at running back now? Question as in quandary of who plays, et cetera. Is still Chambers now in the thinking now of a top 3 instead of a top 2? Just where does that fit?
I mean, we're not changing what we're doing, but Steele is certainly capable to get in the game, and if it calls for that, we feel comfortable putting him in there.
Yeah, and let's say Penn State specifically, what do they do defensively? What did you see as you looked at their game against Indiana? Because they were pretty tight against Indiana until really the last 2 minutes, and there were some miracle plays made to a certain extent. But what just jumps out at you about their scheme and what they do defensively that makes them special?
Personnel, they have really good players. The defensive ends are excellent, and their scheme is just really solid. They don't give you big plays. They make you go all the way down the field, and they combine keeping it in front of you and playing really good zone defense with being aggressive and blitzing. Those guys really like to blitz. They're really aggressive, and so you have to be ready for that. You got to be able to handle the pressure, or else they'll just keep coming at you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yep.
All righty, and our last questioner for the day will be Chris Mueller from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Chris.
Hey, Coach. Marcus Hooker is a local product here from Pittsburgh. What did you see from him in his debut this week, and how have you seen him kind of grow from year 1 to year 3 now with the program?
He's grown a lot, maturity-wise for sure. I thought he was solid for the most part after the first drive, and he's only going to grow with more experience. But it's been great to see his development and the way he's worked, the way he's got to really spend quality time with Kerry Combs and Matt Barnes, and they've really done a great job with him. But he's an integral part of our defense, and he's going to have to be solid for us, just like Jordan was last year. And he's going to be really a direct effect of how good our defense can be. So it was a good start, but certainly again, like we all have a lot to look at on film and get better at. So bigger challenge this week, and I think he's going to be up for it.
Are there any ways that he compares to his brother Malik, maybe in his approach to practice or his character, or, his work ethic, or anything in particular that he does that you see and you think of Malik?
Listening to some of the guys talk, there are some characteristics that they both share. But I wasn't here with Malik, so I don't really know. But listening to Kerry and listening to Coach Mick, they do have some different characteristics apparently that the brothers I typically would have. So I'm hoping they have a lot of things in common. We'll see as the season goes on.
Right. Thank you.
All right, Coach Day, thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, everyone, just hang tight for a little bit. We're going to be joined by Haskell Garrett here, probably another 15 to 20 minutes. So if you will want to eat lunch, you're probably safe to do that at this point. But I'll give you a little heads up when we get him. But Haskell should be next for us.
There are a lot of teams playing subpar pass defense this season, and I think a lot of that points back to on offense.
So I guess the question is then, how much if they don't improve, it's going to kill for it, and this is not a
All right, everyone. We are joined by Defensive Player of the Game, Haskell Garrett. And we will start the questioning here in just a second. We'll start with Austin Ward from Lettermen Row. Austin.
Hey, Haskell, congratulations on the return and the game on Saturday. Can you take us back through the last couple of months from you? I mean, we know what Kerry Combs described it as a miracle, what happened in your return. What has it been like for you given such a traumatic incident there?
Just focusing on the game and going back to getting back to play, being as helpful as I can to the team and as possible as I can. I got great medical attention from all the doctors at the Wexner Hospital and our training staff here at Ohio State, and just getting back to it and getting back to play and getting back healthy.
And I would almost have to think that just playing the game was secondary initially. I mean, that's a gunshot to the face that could have easily gone another way. That had to have been a scary situation.
Yeah, it was, but I was just focused on the game and focusing on my ability to play and just being blessed to be able to play another down, another day. So yeah.
Alrighty, we'll go next to Brendan Gullick from Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. Brendan.
Haskell, thanks for joining us, man, and glad to see you're back and healthy. As you went through the last couple of months, I have to imagine there were probably some times where you were dealing with some uncertainty and just not sure what the future looked like. Who did you lean on most, whether it was within the program, whether it was family or friends? Who really helped you get through this incredibly tough time here?
It was everybody. It was Buckeye Nation. It was my coaches, my friends, and most importantly, my family. Most importantly, it was my coaches, Coach Day, Coach Jay, and our defensive coordinator, Coach Combs, and believing in me.
And then how about as you made the first sack of the season on Saturday, was there a point in the game or maybe it was even that play where maybe just a little bit things started to feel a little bit more normal for you? You're back, you're playing football, the weather's cold, come up with a big play?
It was just all the preparation that was put into it. I don't think anybody really realizes how much goes into one play in college football and any level of the sport. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it, and I was just thankful that I was in the right place at the right time and used my technique and my basics to be able to do that.
Well, we're glad to see you, man. I know a lot of us have been thinking about you and praying for you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll go next to Dave Biddle from 247 Sports with Dan Hope on deck. Dave.
Hi, Haskell. Good to see you. Once you learned your life was not in danger, were you worried as you're laying there in the hospital that your career might have been over, or at least your season might have been over?
Not really. I was just focused on that moment at that time and just getting back football focused and just trying to get back to football. And I just knew that there was a greater purpose. So just being ready for any opportunity. And when I was cleared out, I was full go. Now I was ready and prepared to hit the ground running.
And I don't know how much you want to get into this, but how much can you tell us about the night and everything that happened? Can you walk us through it just as much as you're willing to tell us?
I'd really not like to get into it. I just really like to focus on our next opponent, Penn State, and really much just moving forward.
I hear you, man. Glad you're doing good. Thank you.
All righty, next up is Dan Hope from 11 Warriors with Bill Rabinowitz on deck. Dan.
Hi, Haskell. Coach Combs was talking about how even before you were able to return to practice, you were still going in and meeting with Coach Johnson all the time. About how soon did you get back to meeting with Coach Johnson after the incident happened?
I want to say I was there. I was back on the field meeting with Coach Jay maybe that Friday after the incident.
What was the process like for you of getting back to the field? What were kind of some of the steps that you had to go through in order to get cleared?
Just had to underwent series of surgeries on my mouth, and I had to get a bone graft in my mouth, and just having to be prepared. Really, like I said, after surgery, I had post-surgery. I couldn't do anything physically, but I could do stuff mentally and just sit there and talk with Coach Jay and go over game plans and just be prepared as possible. Like I said, when I came back, be ready to do anything and everything to help the team.
Are those surgeries still things that cause you any pain at all, or are you 100% good to go now?
I'm 100% good to go.
Thanks, Haskell.
Next up, Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch with Nathan Baird on deck. Bill.
Yeah, Haskell, you said that you never really thought your career was in jeopardy. When you found out for sure, though, that you were going to come back, when was that, and what was that feeling like?
When I had found out that I had no really major damage to my mouth nor face, I knew in that moment that it was time to just get back to work and refocus myself and just be ready for any opportunity I have to get back to play.
Were there times during that game when you thought, not only am I back on the field, which at one point may not have been certain, but I'm having a major impact? I mean, how special was that, and what do you expect your impact to be on this team this year?
Just to be as prepared as possible. I just was living in the moment, and like I said, when you're prepared, you do good things. And when you're always ready and going in and doing stuff and meeting with your coach, nothing can stop you. And that's when I just realized that I was doing the right things, and I was very much prepared to play in this game.
I mean, just how good did it feel playing the way you did?
Oh, it felt awesome. It felt great being out there and playing with my brothers.
Thanks, Haskell.
All right, next up, we'll go to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com with Tim May on deck. Nathan.
Haskell, you said you didn't sustain any, major mouth damage. I thought on the GoFundMe account thing that got sent out, they did kind of mention some other damage. And this might seem like a weird question, but I'm just curious, did it affect how much you could eat for a while? And if so, how did that affect your ability to maintain the weight that a defensive tackle needs, and also, I guess, just your stamina as you were coming back?
Yes. So I'm missing a total of 5 teeth. I have to drink a lot of protein shakes. I have to. My intake is a lot more. I'm on a liquid diet, and I eat some solids, but for the most part, it's just a lot of intake throughout the day and constantly changing my routine and what I put in my body.
How long does that liquid diet have to go on for? Do you know?
I mean, until I get a replacement of teeth, then I'll be off of it. But I still eat some soft foods, but for the most part, I've been on a liquid diet for the most part.
And do you regret what happened that night? Like, do you regret getting into that incident and having that happen?
I really don't want to get into it about what happened that night. Don't really want to talk about it in terms of that.
I will go next to Tony Gurdaman from Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Haskell, we all hear about the brotherhood, and I guess once you were told that you would be able to play again, how much did that drive you just to get back to help this team out and help your brothers out?
It was just a lot. I was very happy the second I got cleared. Just the fact that I knew they wanted me to be out there, and I'm a leader in the unit, and that the guys are leaning on me so as much as I lean on them. So it was just really emotional, and it was really a very blessed opportunity to go out there and be with them.
Did you have any doubt you'd play in this first game?
I did have a little doubt in terms of getting medically cleared. Physically, I was well prepared for the game, but medically, I did have some doubt. It was just dependent on whether or not I was fully healed.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Tim May from Lettermen Row. Tim.
Thank you very much, Mike. Haskell, just past that, you guys in the defensive tackle, you're not, I don't know if you have your own room, but there have been question marks about, filling in the blanks there that Devon and Jay Sean left. And how do you think you guys did in the opener as the game went on? And what's just sort of the scuttlebutt between you guys about the shoes you're having to fill and how you're having to step up?
Well, I mean, every year we've always had to step up, especially, I mean, I've been around a lot of great D tackles. I remember when Draymond left, he was a great D tackle, and Tracy Sprinkle left, he was a great D tackle. And then Devon had to step up, Jay Sean had to step up, I had to step up, Robert Landers, BB had to step up. So every time we lose one, it's the next one up, as Coach Jay says. And so they're big shoes to fill, but I believe we'll get it done this year.
Yeah, and it was touched on earlier. You guys, you kind of led the charge, but you guys on that possession there late in the second quarter, Zach and a couple of guys had a play, then you had a big play, then you flushed the quarterback out, and to lead to the other tackle for loss. Did you just feel things change there? Did you guys kind of feel like, hey, yeah, this is our moment. We've kind of stepped up now. What was just that sense, I guess, when you came off the field after that particular series?
The sense was, we have the momentum, and we have the momentum to change the game and change the course of the game and control the game. And so we just had to capitalize on it. And once we got to the bench, said, now's the time. So, yeah.
Thanks, man.
I got time for two more. We'll go to Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch with Patrick Murphy on deck. Joey.
Haskell, obviously, the defensive line had a fewer starters to replace going into this season. Can you just speak to your determination about wanting to get a spot on the field? Because obviously it was a position of need as well for you guys.
I mean, it's just it's not about really for me who starts. It's about just contributing and what you can bring to the table and how you can contribute to this defense. So we all love the Silver Bullets. So yeah.
Thanks.
All right, and we'll wrap it up with Patrick Murphy from 247 Sports. Patrick.
Haskell, obviously, Nebraska was able to rush on you guys from a quarterback perspective. Penn State just announced Noah Cain's out. They used a couple mobile quarterbacks last week. What's the key in defending that aspect of an offense?
Key to defending that type of offense to me is just, keeping the quarterback contained. It was our first game. No Big Ten team had those build-up games that you can, capitalize off of. And so we just went straight in. Everybody went straight into play and playing each other. And so there's a lot to clean up, but I believe that we'll get that contained in terms of getting the QB run contained.
Thank you.
All right, Haskell, thank you very much for your time. Have a great day today and a good practice. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we will bring in Remington Award watch list member Josh Myers here momentarily.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. How's everybody doing? Thumbs up. Love that. I feel like one of my professors now, because they ask and everyone's just like, I'm on the other side of this thing. Yeah, you're good.
All righty, we will begin here with Josh Myers, and we'll start with Austin Ward from Lettermen Row. Austin.
Josh, immediately after the game, White didn't seem like he was completely thrilled with the way you guys blocked, at least maybe early on, and got better throughout the game. When you guys went through film study, how did it look to you, and where can you guys maybe get better in week 2 here?
Yeah, there was definitely some things we weren't happy with. I'd be lying to you if I said it went, perfect because it didn't. There are things that need to be cleaned up, and I think honestly, it's just not so much. I would attribute it more to that just being our first game in 10 months, to be honest with you. I don't know how else to put it. It's not something that I think we're extremely worried about. I think we have confidence that it's something that they're all things that we can get fixed. Also, there's just one of those games where, as an offensive line, especially wanting to be able to run the ball, things just didn't go our way. There were a lot of times where holes were there, and Justin would pull it because he had the read to pull it and throw the screen, or just things like that. That when we did block well, it was just for whatever reason it seemed like it just wasn't hitting. But it's something that I'm not worried about. I have all the confidence in our guys that we'll get it figured out.
Thanks, man.
All right, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch. Joey.
Josh, from game 1 to game 2 last year, you guys really improved in the run game last year. Season opener against Florida Atlantic had some similar issues running the ball, and then by game 2, you guys improved against Cincinnati. What do you remember about that time and kind of fixing things, and can the same thing work again?
Yeah, it just, going into the first game, you really don't know because we haven't been super live. It's playing live in practice where running back is live can be dangerous. And so it's hard to really get a hold of where you're at until you can play your first game. And we were talking about this too, me and Wyatt and Thayer were talking. It was just a weird game, and it didn't have anything to do with the fans not being there. I think it had more to do with it just being the first game in so long. And really last season when we played FAU, it was a similar kind of feel. It just didn't feel like the rest of the games. I can't explain it. I can't put my finger on what it is. But yeah, I think there'll be a lot of improvement from this past week to the next one. Plus that experience for Nick and Harry, those guys who haven't necessarily been in that situation before. Having that game of experience under their belt would be good. Taking steps.
Sorry, but is there a specific or anything you felt like last year in that FAU game that you were able to translate to game 2 that you guys owned in on?
I think it was just reps and game reps. It's different in a game. And I think going back and just correcting our mistakes and getting used to being in that environment again is huge.
Thanks, Josh.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill.
Hey, Josh, what's the key for you guys up front in terms of communicating and identifying stuff when you're playing a team like Penn State that likes to bring a lot of pressure and brings it from a lot of different places?
Yeah, communicating up front in large part is on me. In terms of the run and pass game, a lot of that is put on my shoulders. Now, it won't be a whiteout with 105,000 fans or 110,000 fans, so that'll make communicating a little bit easier this week. But I think it's just across the board. Any outside threat or outside pressure, a lot of that is relied upon the tackles to call. So in terms of communication, I think just all of us being in sync, all of us looking for the same things. If I see it, I'll make the call. But a lot of times what happens is because the tackles are already out there, they'll see it and alert it to me, and then I can make the call. So just playing together in terms of what we see pre-snap and being loud and communicative is huge.
And what did you think of Harry in his first start on Saturday? And I don't know, how much do you maybe do extra talking with a guy who's playing next to you who's making his first start?
Do a lot of extra talking. I think it was particularly special for me and Harry because Harry's my little brother in the Big Brother program that we have here. So I feel accountable and take responsibility a lot of the times for how he's doing and talking to him. So that was a special moment for me and Harry. I think he did solid. Definitely have some things to work on. All of us do, not just him. But I thought he played solid. And, it's tough to have your first start be against Nebraska. It just is. He didn't have the luxury that, me and Wyatt had last year where we played FAU. He was kind of thrown right into the fire, which makes it tough.
All right, next up is Doug Lamarice from Cleveland.com. Doug.
Josh, how would you describe the personal relationship that you and Wyatt have?
I would describe it as a very, very good relationship. We became so close over the years. I think really we've been on the line next to each other for the vast majority of our careers. Our first year, not so much, but every season since then. So the last two and going on to this third season in a row, we've been right next to each other the entire time. So, we've gotten extremely close. He's one of my best friends. It's a perfect teammate relationship, honestly. We can be serious and talk about offense and what we need to do, and strategies and the way we block things. And then, be joking around after practice, not 10 minutes later, it's a great relationship.
And I know you guys work together as a full offensive line and a full offense, but you two are right next to each other. What kind of hole do you think you two might be able to blow open more than a few times this year?
I think there'll be plenty of holes that me and him will blow open together. He's, when you have a player like that next to you, just me speaking on Wyatt in particular, when you have a player like that next to you, you know it. It's not, as soon as we have a double team, I'm like, okay, that's Wyatt. I can feel that it's Wyatt next to me. So yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of things we can't make happen.
And I've toyed with trying to name the hole that you guys will make. So do you guys have a name for it, or do you think we could come up with a name for it?
We don't, but that'd be great if you guys came up with one.
We'll work on it. Thanks, Josh.
Appreciate it.
All righty, next we'll go to Andy Anders from Press Pros Magazine. Andy.
Hello, Josh. I know him being a 3 technique is not someone you see a whole lot at the center position, go against a whole lot in practice. But from that perspective, it really seemed like Haskell Garrett's first step and explosion is what helped him separate himself on Saturday. Can you talk, is that something you've seen from him? Can you talk about maybe how he's grown that in the run up to the season here?
Okay, I'm sorry. Could you repeat like the latter half of that question?
Yeah, just it seems like Haskell Garrett's really looked explosive and had a great first step in that game Saturday. Is that something you've seen him grow and work on as the season has begun here?
Yes, actually, funny you asked. So his first day back in pads, we ran an outside zone play, and he got my number on it. I was not ready for it, man. He came off the ball so hard. I could just tell he was so happy and excited to be back. And he came off the rock on the first day of pads, on the first set of team, and I was like, oh my God. I don't know what all he did at home during the quarantine, but the way he came off the ball was different. It was different than the way he did before, and it's different than most players I've ever played against. So I don't know if that tells you anything, but yes, I have noticed it very much so.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll go next to Clay Hall from WSYX with Bill Rabinowitz on deck. Clay.
Yeah, Josh, Coach talked this morning about Steel Chambers flashing a little bit, and it certainly looked like he did in the view of my amateur opinion. Have you seen him? Do you feel like he's as good as the other two? Could he be in the mix? I think he had an 8-yard average, but, maybe he was going against some backups. I don't know. But what have you noticed about his development through camp and now just the 4 or 5 carries he had this week?
Yeah, Steele has developed really well, and I think Steele's going to be a really, really good player here. To be honest with you, our running back room is really deep between Trey, Master, Steele, and Marcus coming back off that knee injury. All 4 of those guys can play some football now. They're going to be good football players. And it's going to be excited. I'm just excited to watch them, throughout this season. I don't know how it's all going to pan out, what kind of playing time is going to happen, but I will tell you that all four of those guys are more than capable of getting the job done.
Would you prefer the running back carry the ball than Justin, just to protect your quarterback, or does it matter?
Yeah, I would rather the running back carry it personally. I mean, I can't speak for the coaches or anyone else. That's just my personal opinion. I'd like Justin to get hit negative times the rest of the season personally.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll go next to Spencer Holbrook from Lettermen Row. Spencer.
Yeah, there definitely are a lot of expectations with our offensive line this season. I think there are expectations that we should achieve, to be honest with you. I think there are things that we should live up to and that we're capable of living up to. Once we start getting into the season, it becomes easier to block those kinds of things out because we're just so busy with it. We play Penn State this week. We play Penn State this week. I have class and an internship as well that I'm doing right now. So at least for me personally, I don't have time to think about anything besides doing my job, whether that be school, work, or football. So, once we get in the swing of it, man, we're just rolling.
All right, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Yeah, Josh, another question about Haskell. When that happened in August, how concerned was the team? How did he handle it? I don't know how quickly after the shooting you saw him, but just what was that like?
I'm not sure how they want me to, how I should, talk about that situation with Haskell. All I'll say is that personally, I was terrified because I woke up and saw the news and had no idea what was going on, and obviously was very, very scared. I love Haskell. Our entire team loves Haskell, and we're just so thankful that he's safe, and it's a miracle he's with us and he's playing really well too.
Yeah, to see him play the way he did on Saturday, like what was it like in the locker room? What was it like even on the field, on the sideline with you guys when you could see what he was doing?
Yeah, I didn't really I don't pay much attention to our defense during the game, right, just because, I'm in the X's and O's and trying to figure out what they're doing. But it's, a great feeling. I think the most positive mood behind that whole thing was when he won Defensive Player of the Game. It just speaks so much to Haskell as a person, and how strong-willed he is. There's nothing he can't do. Honestly, there really isn't. And so I think we were just super happy for him.
How would you kind of describe his personality?
The best personality you could ask for. An amazing guy, treats everybody super well, works really hard, knows when to handle his business and knows when to have a good time.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
All right, we got time for a couple more, and we've got quite a few hands still raised. So if we could just keep it to one question, that would be great. We'll start with Stephen Means from Cleveland.com. Stephen.
Well, I know you just talked about how you'd rather Justin not run the ball at all, but he's going to do that in year two of having that and kind of getting used to it, especially for you, Wyatt and Baird, since this is you guys' second year starting with him. How have you guys gotten more accustomed to that and maybe communicating with each other when he does, have those moments when he tries to take off his legs and make a play?
Yeah. When he does that is up to the play call and up to the read that he gets and whether or not he wants to pull it. But I will tell you for certain that when he does pull it and run, we're going to be there as soon as we possibly can. As soon as he gets tackled, as soon as he gets hit, we're there, picking him up, making sure he's all right, making sure nothing's going on underneath the the pile, that kind of thing. There's really not a whole lot else we can do other than that. So we just try and keep them safe best we can.
We'll go to Dan Hope next. Dan.
Josh, you talked at the start about how you guys weren't happy with some of the things that your offensive line did in the first game. Is it hard when there's such a high expectation for your unit for you guys to live up to your own personal expectations?
Right now I'm not worried about my own personal expectations. And I think if we live up to our expectations as an offensive line unit, then I'll live up to my own personal ones. That's the approach that I'm taking to it. But yeah, I mean, look, obviously we as a unit, we want to live up to those expectations more than anything in the world. And I think we will, and I think you guys will see that. So yeah.
Thanks,
All
Josh.
right, we'll go next to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com. Nathan.
Hey, Josh, when could you see that Nicholas Petit-Frere had sort of turned a corner and was going to be a big impact this season?
I think at the end of last season, just the way he was playing and the way that he was handling himself, he could have stepped in and played at any point last season. He did in the Big Ten championship. But really, he could have done that at any point, probably the last quarter of the season last year. And so pretty much from that point, I was confident in Nick's ability and that he would probably win that starting spot. And man, did he play well. Whew. He played really well.
All right, next up, Tony Gurdaman from Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
You mentioned making sure there are no nothing funny under the pile with Justin. Did you see any of that on Saturday? I know there was a shot maybe to his lower back at one point. Is that something that you guys have been told to be aware of, or is that just something you guys as an offensive line are trying to make sure it doesn't happen?
It's not something that we're told to do or told to be aware of, but it's something that we are sure as hell going to be aware of. I don't know if we've even talked about it, to be honest with you. I think we all just do it instinctively, maybe even. There were certain points at last season where it did happen. Things did happen underneath the pile to him, and we can't let it happen. We won't let it fly.
Thanks.
All right, and last questioner for today will be Patrick Murphy from 247 Sports. Patrick.
Josh, you talked about individual offensive linemen, but what was the cohesion like for you guys? I know that's such an important part of the front five. How did you feel with the new guys in there and just getting back out there? How'd that all go on Saturday?
Yeah, I thought it went really well. I thought we were on page with each other. I don't even know if there was an MA, to be honest with you. I don't maybe one. So cohesion, it was really well. I think our unit plays well together, and we've had enough time at this point to get used to playing next to each other. I don't know how many practices it's been, padded or not. Feels like an eternity. So cohesively, I thought, it went really well. And it's more just little things that we need to work on from here on out. But I think we have most things taken care of in terms of cohesion and playing with each other and just being used to each other's style of play.
Thanks.
All right, Josh, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good afternoon.
I appreciate it, fellas. Have a good one.
Yeah, sorry, y'all. We aren't quite done for the day. We are waiting on Garrett Wilson, so just hang tight. Guys, Garrett Wilson will be here momentarily, so appreciate your patience, and he will be our last guy for today.
Hello?
All right, Garrett, thank you so much for joining us. We will start today with Brendan Gullick from Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated. Brendan.
Hey, Garrett, thanks for the time this afternoon, man. A couple things for you. The first one is about kind of rhythm and timing with a quarterback, and I know how important that is. Certainly felt like you and Justin were pretty in sync this weekend. Was there a particular play or a particular route that you ran where you guys have been working on that play, that route so hard, and it felt great to finally have it click in a game?
I mean, just overall, just having the extended off season, I feel like we got to work on so many routes. So, I mean, really everything I run is we got like good amount of reps on everything. So Justin doesn't miss much, and when he's on target, I just got to make sure I do my job. So
the other thing I want to ask you about is about all of this practice time that you guys have had. I know how hard it is to replicate true game speed. I realize your stats were good, but how long did it take for you to feel like your legs were underneath you and you were adjusting to playing as fast as you have to play in game?
I mean, I think our coaches have done a great job, of mocking that environment for us throughout this offseason. So we got 3 scrimmages in before we even touched the the field this past Saturday. And just those 3 weeks, we were moving at game speed. We weren't full contact, but we were thudding up. And I think that really got us prepared and ready to play for this past Saturday against Nebraska.
Thanks, man. Good luck to you.
Appreciate that.
All righty, next we'll go to Tim May from Lettermen Row. Tim.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Garrett, I was just wondering if you and Jackson in the group, do y'all practice spectacular catches, or are they always a product of spur of the moment?
Nah, I mean, at Ohio State, I think Coach Day, he emphasizes, just making the routine plays routine. So I think we work at that, more than anything else. And the spectacular catches, that's kind of something that, I mean, if you're in the situation, you just got to make the play, competitive excellence. And, Jackson did a good job of showing that this past weekend.
Yeah, it seemed against Clemson, you kind of put the bar up there, and then Jackson might have exceeded it. I don't know on Saturday. Where would you rank that catch, and what does it do for a young receiver to pull off a play like that from a confidence standpoint down the road?
Yeah, I mean, I know for him that was huge, because going into this game, we had talked about making plays and stuff like that. I mean, when you play receiver, that's kind of just something that comes up in conversation. So I mean, for him to make that play in that game at that point, that was super awesome. So I mean, I know we were all super excited for him, and we got to dance and everything like that. So I mean, it was just a big place, and we were excited to see him do that. But we all knew he could do it.
Yeah, one of the quickie. These 4 guys that came in, these freshmen, they seem special, kind of like you did a year ago. Have they surprised you by how well they have progressed, if for want of another term?
Yeah, I mean, all 4 of them, since they came in, have just continually got better. And I know Jackson being in my position group and Mookie too, I've seen them just, grow over these past couple months. And with Jackson, be able to see it translate on the field, it's something we all expected in the receiver room after seeing them practice these last couple of months.
Thanks, man.
Okay, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Yeah, Garrett, just how comfortable do you feel in the slot? I mean, do you feel like you're a mismatch against anyone you go against there?
I mean, every week I'm working on, getting better in the slot. But like I said, again, with the extended offseason, I got to get a lot of work in there. And, it was a move I was excited to make from the outside, and then still being able to mix in some of the outside. So I feel like I can definitely, get some good matchups, favorable matchups in the slot.
I know injuries are always something that you guys don't like to talk about, but how confident are you that Chris will be ready this week?
I'm super confident. So I talked to Chris, and he seemed all good. So I think Chris is going to be ready to play on Saturday.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Doug Lamarice from Cleveland.com with Austin Ward on deck. Doug.
Garrett, I wanted to ask you about a couple specific plays from Saturday. First, the 4th down catch. I think you were lined up in the slot right next to Ruckert, and then you made that nice inside move. Can you just sort of take us through that play and maybe how you guys are stressing a defense when you and Jeremy are lined up like that?
So, I mean, that was one of the plays during this offseason we got tons of reps of. So against man, I think that was a play that, we worked at a lot, and to see it translate was good.
And that you could feel yourself setting the guy up there, right? It looked like he turned a little bit to the outside, and then you had him beat inside.
Yeah, I'm waiting on his reaction, and once I get him to go outside, I'm gonna go the other way. So, yeah.
Okay, and then like you said, obviously we saw you get some of the snaps outside when you guys were in 12 personnel. Your touchdown when Justin hit you, that kind of matchup. It's interesting to watch a guy like you because you have the outside skills and the slot skills. What are you thinking on that play? Do you have a good feel like, yeah, this is going to work and Justin's going to hit me here?
I mean, I knew that if the safety did what we thought he would do all throughout film and everything like that I would be getting the ball there. So I knew it was just me matched up on the corner. And once I saw him, take an outside step and go across his face, I knew Justin was going to put it right there. So, I mean, he hit me right in stride, perfect ball.
And the chance to still be able to do those kind of routes, not just be in the slot, but also be outside at times. What do you think of that?
No, I love that. So, I mean, I think, what's key to playing receivers, being able to be versatile, play inside and out. And that's something, that I wanted to be able to work on in my game. So moving to the slot this past year and then being able to play outside still, I think that's only going to benefit me.
Thank you, Garrett.
Appreciate you.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill.
Hey, Garrett, maybe along those similar lines, when you're lined up in the slot and you see that you might have a safety or maybe even better at times you might get a linebacker on you, like what goes through your mind when you realize you have that matchup?
I mean, that I just got to win. So no matter who I'm matched up against, I feel like I hold myself to a high enough standard that I feel like I should get open and, make myself available to the quarterback. And when I'm matched up in the slot against linebackers, safeties, nothing changes. So.
And the ball you caught, I think it might have been the 4th down reception. It got tipped, and it looked like it was going end over end when it got to you. Is it possible to practice that kind of stuff? Like, how do you work on the ball maybe coming out of the quarterback's hands a little funky like that?
I mean, it's hard to replicate something like that in practice, but I mean, overall, just doing hand-eye coordination drills, stuff like that, catching the ball often is all gonna go into it. But to tip or to replicate a tip balls like that. I mean, that could be probably harder. I don't know. It's kind of just a lucky catch by me. I actually almost dropped it. So, yeah.
All righty, we'll go next to Nathan Baird from Cleveland.com. Nathan.
Garrett, just what did you see from Julian Fleming in the preseason that might have explained why he had separated himself a little bit from some of those other guys, other options on the outside, even more veteran guys?
I think Julian I didn't know how fast he actually was. So for someone to be that big and strong and then move the way he does, I was just like, wow. So, I mean, he's fast. I don't think y'all haven't fully got to see it yet, but if he gets to open it up, y'all gonna probably say the same thing. So his speed is just, he's really fast.
All right, next up, Austin Ward from Lettermen Row. Austin.
Garrett, I want to go back to that ability to go inside and outside. I know that's something that excites you, but if you had to pick one, what's your favorite place to line up in the formation for a route?
Honestly, I've played outside so long that I think I'm liking slot a lot more right now. So when I feel like when I'm lined up in the slot, I can, get some favorable matchups and take advantage of them. So just being more involved with the scheme as well. I think I like the slot, but like I said, going inside and outside is something I want to be able to have in my game.
you had one of those, drag routes underneath where Justin found you, and I don't know if it was a linebacker or who you had on you, but you just kind of ran away. I mean, we saw KJ make a lot of money off of that over the last couple of years. How exciting is it to get some of those matchups on the inside? What is it about your game that you think lends itself to working in that area?
I think a lot of the receiver skills come from playing basketball for so long. So I think just like handling the ball, going up and getting rebounds, things like that, all translate over to football well. And I don't know, that's something that I definitely don't, just kind of forget about. I always give credit to basketball for a lot of my receiver, abilities.
Thanks, man.
All right, next up, we'll go to Tony Gurdaman from Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Garrett, do you want to take credit for teaching Jackson Smith Jigba that move?
No, I don't want to take credit for that. So the state of Texas can do that, but Jackson, he's someone that has like amazing abilities, one of the best I've ever seen, and he's gonna be a baller for years to come. So Jackson has all that.
Then a few plays before that, he got lit up pretty good on that targeting call, and I guess to say about him that he bounces back the way he did.
Yeah, he popped up right after he got hit. We talked about it on the sideline, after the after it happened, and he was pretty funny. But just to see him go back out there and make a catch, and he said it was something that he wanted to do after getting hit like that. Whenever we got back to the sideline, so I know he was happy to get the touchdown catch after that.
Thank you.
No problem.
All righty, we got time for a couple more. We've got quite a few hands raised, so let's keep it to one question per person, and we'll start with Jared Smalley. Jared.
Hi, Garrett. If Chris could not play on Saturday, how do you think it would affect your role? And greater than that, the receiving core as a whole? Obviously, everybody has a little bit more responsibility on their shoulders. If you get in a situation, how do you think you'd handle it?
I think just the depth of our receiver room in Zone 6, it's such a deep room. So I know we got some young guys, but it would be a great opportunity for one of them to step up and show that they're able to, show competitive excellence and take on that role. So, I have full faith in our receiver room that, someone could step up and, try to fill that void.
All right, we'll go next to Dave Biddle, 247 Sports. Dave.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, Garrett. As we've been talking about, it seems like you can do a little bit of everything as a wide receiver. Just how would you describe your game as a receiver?
I put a big emphasis on me being versatile. So, when I watch someone like Devontae Adams play, they show being able to play inside and out, good releases off the ball, being able to go track the ball down the field, and then also in the intermediate and in the short game. So, I want to be able to do all those things, just make anything that makes you harder to guard and harder to take away as a defense. So I'm focused on, trying to improve my whole game.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Stephen Means from Cleveland.com. Stephen.
I think they played at the goal line where I think you were rolling out right. I think you might have been open in the end zone, but Justin decided to just take off with it. When you guys are, first of all, did you think you were open on that?
Yeah, but I let Justin know. He said he saw green grass, so I'm fully understanding. Just move on to the next play, but I trust my quarterback 100%. And if he didn't think I was open, then I'm rolling with it.
So when he's running, you guys are, and you guys feel you're open, and afterwards, after he scrambles, and you guys are having that conversation, how much of a back and forth is it? Whether maybe he should have stayed in the pocket and been a little bit more patient versus him being Justin Fields and making a play.
No, it's not much of a conversation. So honestly, I might say I'm open, but I trust him, like I said. And if he thought he could get in the end zone, which he did right there, I'm rolling with it. But we ended up scoring the next play. So we're just rocking out with 7 points. That's all I'm worried about.
How important was that Miami Ohio game for you, where you kind of got some extended reps in the second half, even if it was against second teams? How important was that for your development?
That was huge. So just being able to get on the field at any point last season was huge for my development, and see the college competition, feel that speed, and get involved with the offense. All that was huge to my development. So yeah.
We'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Garrett, you mentioned before about being from a great state of Texas, and you had some success last year. Jackson coming in, having this immediate success. Do you think playing in a state like that with such competitive high school football helps prepare you to make an immediate impact at Ohio State?
Definitely. So, seeing the contact, or not the contact, but the competition that you do down in Texas, that's something that translates to the next level and to the levels. After that, you play football year round, 7-on-7. You have like a lot of time to polish your game, stuff like that. So, just the coaching down there, all that, has a good effect on translating into college ball.
Thanks, Garrett.
I got time for two more. We will go with Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch and then wrap it up with Jeremy Birmingham. Joey.
Gary, you mentioned your basketball playing days helping out with football and catching balls and that sort of thing. How big a part was basketball part of your life growing up, and when did you start playing?
I started playing basketball, probably playing competitive basketball when I was probably 5 and upward, and that was a church league I played in, and I was pretty good back then, and I remember being able to dunk on the lower rims and stuff like that. And basketball is to this day my favorite sport. The size just didn't bless me, so if it was up to me, I probably would be playing basketball. But being 6 foot, I decided to make the decision, to play football and be a receiver. And but I think it has a lot to do with all the success and all these receiver traits and stuff like that. So I think I owe everything to basketball.
All righty, and we'll wrap it up today with Jeremy Birmingham from Lettermen Row. Jeremy.
Hey, Garrett, I know you're in a little different situation than some of the other guys because you have Ohio roots, but how much did the success of guys like J.K. Dobbins and Baron Browning and Jeff Okudah have on you? How much impact did that have on you choosing Ohio State from Texas, and how do you think that what you and Jackson and guys are doing now can impact the Buckeyes as they recruit in that state in the future?
Yeah, personally for me, seeing Jeff in that wasn't huge in my recruitment, but for someone like Jackson or something like that, it could be totally different. So, I was aware that they played there, but overall, I felt the connection up here, and like you said, having the Ohio roots, I wanted to come back. But for future Ohio State going down in the state of Texas, I think it's a great thing, to have a whole bunch of players on the team showing out, and seeing someone like J.K. go up from college ball to the league after that. Coming from, Central Texas, I think that'll, pay its dividends later.
Do you notice a different type of reaction when you go back home to Texas and talk to high school kids, or, do they treat you different maybe than you thought?
After I decided not to go to UT, I would say it's a little different than what I thought it would be. But I think Ohio State has such a, universal what's the word? I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. But just people everywhere can gravitate towards the university. So when I go back to Texas, it's a lot of love. Surprisingly, a lot of people, like Ohio State down there in Austin and Lake Travis now. So, I think that we'll have some good roots down there.
Thanks, man.
All right, Garrett, thank you very much for your time. Have a great afternoon. Have a good practice. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, that'll wrap it up for today, everyone. Thanks for